All right, I am live. All right, I am. All right, I am. Uh-oh. I'm frozen. Ah. Hope I'm not going to have problems. There we go. Hope you can hear me. A little glitch going on here. Hey, Dot. Is it blurry for you guys? Oh, mine says 144. That's not good. There we go. Okay, I'm going to go out of there. So I'm watching on Ustream, or not Ustream, StreamYard. So can you see me, Dot? Had a little bit of a glitch. Devin. Okay, is Devin here? I don't see Devin. Oh, there you are. Hey, Devin. Good to see you. All right. Hope you all had a fantastic weekend. Today we're going to be doing some more flowers, and I've got them on the side here, so they're live. This is what we did last week, and it was the letter A for August, and then I put the palette that I used down here. I like that. I haven't written anything in here yet, but I may. And I was talking about these black-eyed Susans. So I picked one to show you what I was talking about. And they're about, right now, they're almost 8 feet tall. They're really tall. And this is what's on the very tip of each stem. So see how huge the nub of the flower is? So these little things here, if you can see the little white or yellow specks, each one of these is actually a flower. This isn't considered the flower petals. These little fuzzy things, those are the flower petals. Kathy and Colleen are still streaming, so others may drizzle in. Okay, thanks, Dot. And there's the leaf of it. And they get smaller as they go up, but as you can see, it's got a blue tinge to the leaf, and they're fairly thick and they feel leathery almost. You had some of these? I really like them, and they're 7 feet tall, almost 8 feet tall, and they're just blooming now. The flowers at the bottom, so you have a mass of leaves, and then you have the stalks that come up, and then the flower at the very top. Sometimes they branch. See how they are starting to branch in another buds here? But the leaves on the bottom are probably about that big, I guess. And they're bright. They almost remind me of blue hosta color. What is the name of the flower? I'm not sure. I got this at a $7 place, we call it, and they didn't have the name on it. I'm sure if you look it up and see anything with this shaped leaf, they're kind of an oval shaped bluish leaf, and then the bright yellow petals with the brown fuzzies on it. You'll find it. I don't think there's too many of these, and they're very, very tall. I consider them a black-eyed Susan, so you could probably look up black-eyed Susan, tall black-eyed Susans. And when I say tall, I mean 7 feet. But they come up every year. They stand up straight. I don't have to stake them. They're really, as you can see, I tried just bending it with my fingers, and it's almost like wood. The stems are so strong. It's very hard to cut with your hands. You have to get a pair of scissors or something. So I thought I'd show you that. And they last for a long, long time. So today we're going to do Curcosima. And I have 2 here. The one we're going to do is yellow. So this is a Curcosima. It's an old-fashioned flower. Blooms now. There's quite a few different varieties. They have a really pretty, this one has a really pretty center. It's got a little bit of a yellow center with some dark markings around the inside. They remind me of freesia, but they're not in that family. They're a bulb, and they multiply quite quickly. And this is, I'll show you. So there's that one. And this is the one we're going to be doing. So this is the yellow one, or gold. And when they're blooming, they kind of hang down. Same with this one. See how it kind of hangs down? There is a few that have the flowers facing up, but I haven't got any of those. But I just love these. I think they're so colorful, bright. And they have leaves very similar to a gladiola. And they almost bloom like a gladiola. They come up parallel leaves. It's called Curcosima. Starts with a C. C-A-R. I'll have to look it up. I'll put it in the description. And then there's the bulb. So this one's a baby, but they're very, they're almost like corms, I guess you could say. And they multiply every year. Very easy to grow. They prefer a dry soil. So if you got an area that's not very wet, they'll grow fantastic there. They don't like to be sitting in the wet in the winter. So pick a spot that's fairly dry and doesn't have water sitting in the spring. And yeah, they're just beautiful. I love them. So I thought we could do some of these today. So we'll start on this page, I guess. I'm going to do again the colors. Maybe I'll do 2 different types on the same. So we can do these. And then we'll just use this as the reference of the flower leaves. So I thought, well, let's see. You could do actually a full page. That would be kind of pretty. And just do the leaves. And they stand straight up usually, but I'm going to put it down like this. So you guys can draw along with me. I'll zoom in for a bit while I draw so you can see what I'm doing. Okay. So I'm just going to use let's see. There. This is a number 2 or an HB pencil by Stedler. I like these. So let's put it from here. So I'm going to just draw the stem first. And then we have, say, this one comes up like that. And if you look at it, see how it kind of goes on a zigzag on here. Now this one, not as much, but when it gets to the bud area, this up in the top part, it kind of goes in a zigzag pattern. So if you're wanting to pay attention to the exact details, these are the things you're going to have to look at. So it widens here where they branch out. And the stem stays fairly consistent as far as width. Gets a little thinner as it goes up, but not a whole lot. This one's a little thinner. And then goes up. Flowers here. Now I can zigzag it a bit, so I can change this up. I'll take an eraser. Oh, no, that one doesn't work. Let's take that out. So it comes up. Then there's a bud. Then it kind of scoots over a little bit. Then there's a bud. Then it zigzags up again. There's a bud. So they're kind of parallel to each other as far as they're not parallel. They line up opposite. So they're not, the buds aren't right next to each other like some flowers are. So we got, now I'm going to draw it the way I'm viewing it. You draw it the way you're seeing it here if you want to follow along. So I see the stem bud part where the bud comes out. So it's green there. It's a little bit thicker. And then I see it kind of drooping, getting wider. And then the flower starts here. So for me, I'm seeing a little bit of foreshortening. And the trick with foreshortening is try not to think of it as a flower. Look at it in its shapes. So I'm viewing this and just looking at each individual area. And I'm also comparing it to the other object or shape beside it as far as size. So I see the overlap there. So you compare it all the time with what's around it. So this is a fairly big one here. So it's larger and it's going past this tip. And then it's curved like that, goes down. This one I see there's a little space in down there and it curves right near the bottom. And then there's another, I'm not going to finish that because there's one that's overlapping it. So I'll put that in there. It comes past the tip of this one. Comes in. That. That's the first flower. Then there's these little stamens and stuff I see in there. And they kind of curl up. They're a little bit on the curly side. And there's 1, 2, 3. And here, it's a closed bud, but we see that plump bottom. It widens. Goes in. They all have these plump parts at the base. This one's a little thinner because it's newer. This one here, another plump bottom. That. This one's smaller, thinner, but still, you can still see that green part. And this one's a little bit smaller. And this one up here, it's more green than flower. We'll just put a little top on that one. So as you go up, the flower part gets smaller and smaller. And you see more of that green in it. Like that. Alternating. That's it. Hey, Joan. Hey, Lena. I love the washi tape. Oh, yeah, your thing was awesome. Lena just did a box with washi tape on it and Art Nouveau. Check out her channel. Devin's also got a channel that's great for jelly printing and using your jelly prints. She actually shows you how to use them. They're not just for looking at. Okay, so I see this bud part here. So it's almost alternating from this one. So I'll start it right here. And this one is actually expired. And then there's one about here. That's the same thing. And then one here. And I see that green part again. And then it's almost a trumpet shape flower. Now this is coming towards me, so it's going to be a little bit on the foreshortened side. So I'm trying to see what. This is one that's just either starting to open or it's expired. Hard to tell. I think it might be finished just because it's lower. That one. And then there's this one here is kind of overlapping that one. So let's see, it comes up. I still see that green part. So again, you're looking at shapes. Then right in here, now is this going to work out? It's kind of downward facing, but the flower I'm seeing face on. So the flower is kind of in this area of shape. So we got centers, it's about there, I guess. And then we start putting in the petals. They're kind of oval shaped from what I'm seeing, and they're overlapping down in the center part. This one here is actually foreshortened. And then this one comes out from here. Let's see. Actually, I think this one. And then this one comes out like that. Yeah. I think this one needs to be a bit bigger. That and this. Okay. So then you can just get erasers. Let's see. That one. Just erase the areas that you don't need anymore. Nothing wrong with erasing. Now, some people like the pencil, so it's up to you whether you want a defined line and pencil. If you're going to do the ink, you can always erase the pencil. Okay, and then we see those little stamens right there. And I actually see those little marks inside. And this needs to come out like this. Okay. Then there's that one. So there's this one here in between, alternating, as Devin told me. And then the flute, like that. I see just the bottom part of that petal. This one comes out and flares outward, rounded. This one, I'm looking at the shapes. And then that. Next one is the biggest one as far as petals. And then this one, I think that needs to be out more. And then this one crosses over there. And then we see the stamens. And can we see in there? A little bit. So they'll go deep in there. There's that. And then alternate from this one. And they start being a little bit closer together as you go up top. So let's see. This one's going to be fairly big, like this. So in this area. And then I see the inside of it there. So roughly it's going to be that size, but you can change it. That's just an indication of where to put it. So this one, no, this one's not going to be accurate. I can tell right now. I'm not worried about it. It's just a document of my flowers, so it's supposed to be fun. I'm not doing this for accurate botanical drawings. It's just because I like to try stuff. So that goes down in there. And then I can erase. I'll look at chat in a minute. Got any questions? We have a busy group here. Here's Carol's channel. Yes, Carol. Hi, Carol. Good to see you. Yes, we've got quite a few streamers here. So if you love streaming and watching it, check out the people here. Devin and any of my mods can put up their channels. Okay, now I can see that the stem kind of starts going on the zigzag here. So I can put in those buds. Can't see in here as much. There's one there, so there'll be one right in here. And then it zigzags again. And another smaller bud there. So it goes in a zigzag shape. And then there's wherever they start to turn is where the bud is. And they get smaller. And then finally, just a bud on the top, like that. All right, so there's our flowers. And the leaves, like I said, are very much like gladiola. So I'm going to put it behind the flower. And gladiolas have ribs in their leaves, so you can put that in too. So there's kind of lines in their leaf. So put one in here. And you'll go right up to there and then down. And then it's kind of like a fan how they grow. So they're growing side by side in a fan shape. I'll show you in a minute. So, okay, here's the bulb. So it comes up and then it grows up the stem of where the flower is. So here's the stem of the flower. And they're kind of attached to it, but side by side. So like a fan. Okay. So they have kind of a center rib in it. You put that in. Okay. So there, I'll leave that there so you can, anyone trying to draw it can draw it. So I'm going to leave this fairly dark for now, and then I'm going to use the Micron pen, and this is a 03. Hey, Lori, good to see you. Anyone else I missed? And we're just going to put I like sketchy lines when you're doing a lot of pen work. I just find it more interesting. But you do you, whatever you like. And I can always go back in after I do my painting and add more line work if you want to do that. Some people don't, some people do. Something you have to experiment with and see what look you like the best. Everybody's different. So after I finish doing the line work, then I can erase any of this pencil. Some people like the pencil work better than the line of ink. So try a few and see what catches your eye. Maybe you'll like that too. And there's different ways of doing your line work. There's really fine lines. Some people like to use nib pens because it gives it a certain look of thickness and thinness. Skipping of the pen. There's many, many different ways of doing this. You just have to find what's attractive to you. Because this is your sketchbook. Nobody else's. You don't have to show it to anybody. This is your experimenting book where you find your style or try different techniques to see if you'll like it or not before you put it in a painting or a journal. Maybe you've got a journal you don't want to experiment in. You just want really nice looking stuff. It's always best to try it out in a sketchbook. This is what artists do when they go into art school, and they're never without a sketchbook. When I went, we had to do a 200-page sketchbook every month. And you had to show it to make sure. They wanted to make sure you were going to be doing sketches, because that's where you start learning, is in your sketchbook. It's one of the most important tools you can ever have. You put your thoughts in there. Swatches, cut out things from books or magazines that are attracted to your eye, maybe because of color or composition, that type of thing. Maybe it's the line work that you saw another artist do that gave you an idea. You write it down, put it in your sketchbook. Also, that will, well, in school, teachers would see what type of thinking you had as far as creating things, inventing your own style, and where you had to focus on as far as different things you needed to work on that you were kind of lacking in. then they would help you with that. Now, that's when I went to school, and that was over 45 years ago. So I don't know how much it's changed. I would imagine it's changed quite a bit, but that's what we did. It's probably a whole lot different nowadays. Let's see if I got all the thingies in here. I think I have the lines I want. It's less stressful and exactly, Carol. Your paper isn't precious in a sketchbook, and I don't recommend getting a really expensive sketchbook. Just do it, because even mess up your first few pages with scribbles, and when you're talking on the phone, you're scribbling or doodling, and then throw some paint on it, just so it's not precious anymore. I've watched you from the bleachers many times. You have been a plus. This one is black. You can use brown. I have browns, and there are different types of browns. There's light brown, there's dark brown, there's sepia. You can get grays even. That's another preference that you'll have to figure out what you like. This is a kneaded eraser. I like these. So it doesn't wreck your paper. It's a little easier on your paper. And use an HB pencil. Don't use your really dark pencils like a B, anything in the B's. 2 HB is about the highest I would go, just because it's a little harder to erase. And this is, a lot of time, a great way of when you're doing your work or you're trying to get an idea for something, look through your sketchbooks. That's why they're so important, because it gives you an idea. Maybe you had thought of something to do, and then you wrote it down in your sketchbook, or maybe you did a little sketch, a little what do you call it? I'm losing my words. Little squares, and you plotted something out of how you wanted it to look. All right. So we'll start off with flowers. So we'll do, we're going to need, these are really warm colors because they have a lot of yellow and orange in them. Thumbnail, thank you. You're saving me today. Don't know why I couldn't think of that. Now I've already sprayed my palette. I'll bring, should I bring you out or leave? Do you want it left this way, or do you want me to bring it out so you can see my palette more? It's up to you. Just let me know. So I'm going to do the flowers first, I think. And this is when you can maybe out a touch to see palette. Okay. Is that good? I'm going to actually put a little bit of, actually I'll take some of this off. just so I can use it for my orange. I don't want it to turn muddy. These are fairly clean, clear colors. So I'm probably use this for some of the leaves. Perfect, good. Okay. So I have my silver black velvet. This is the number 8 round. These are one of the most economical brushes that will work almost as good as some of your high quality, high-end brushes. So I would recommend these over, I use these all the time. I love them. So I like to start off light and then you work dark. So we have a lot of that gold color. It's all, and what I'm looking at in here and on the very end here is probably Indian yellow by Core would work. I see my palette up here and it's very, very close, so close. So I'm going to use that for my yellow in the center. I can always lighten it or desaturate it, but that will be the yellow I'll use. And then it's a very warm red orange. So I have Daniel Smith Pyro Orange here. It's bright, but we can always add a little bit of red to it. So I want something that's a little more on the warm side. We could use, I'm going to use Alizarin Crimson. Let's see. I think this is Alizarin. Nope, that's in Coral. Well, let's try that one. I'm going to put some of that there. I might, still too bright. It's not bad, but it's still a little bright. So, Cad Red. Some orange in it. It's a little better. Just play with it and then have a little piece of paper. I'm using paper, not watercolor paper, because this is just sketchbook paper. So I want to see basically the same as what I have. Now, here's a bud that fell. So I could actually put, that's very close. Very, very close. So that's a good match. But you can put it on your piece of paper to see what it's going to look like. So very, very close. I want more saturated. So that was Quin Red, or not Quin Red, Coral and Quin Red with it in orange. So I want it fairly thick. I'm just wiping my brush off. I don't want too much water in the thick paint because I want to keep that saturation. All right. So now I'm going to just, this is dirty water, but it's the color anyways that I want. But I'm just going to do the outsides of the petals first. I'm not going to go in the center too much because I know there's yellow in there. So I'm putting a fair amount of water. This is dirty water, but and then I'm going to take that paint, just go on the edge and let it do its thing. You can just play with it a little bit. And then we'll do this one. This one's got a bit of the yellow on the bottom. This one is starting to fade a little, so the colors are a little bit different. It's got a little more orange in it. Not wet enough. A little more water. Just on the edge. And I'm going to take a little bit of the yellow and some of that mix I had for the red. Just tap in. Let it mix. I'm going to do the same here. It's still wet, and if it's still wet, you can put a little bit in there also. And a little bit on the, more or less in the bottom part of the petal. Okay. More cad red there. And some coral. And a little bit of orange. They're all a little, just slightly different. So if they're not all the same, that's good. This one it's fairly dark. So if we go in there without putting water on it, you're a little more able to control where it's all going. So this is when you experiment and see, do you like doing wet into wet, or do you prefer more control doing wet into dry? This one you can't see the center. It's very dark. So I could actually take some of that really dark, just put it in the center, let it flare out a little bit. Some of these are a little darker, so I'm going to put a little bit of that in there too. Just on, not all of them, but some of them. Some are a little darker. Right. This one up here, I can see the center, and it's a little more on the orange side, this one. I get a little more orange. And tap it in. I'm going to kind of stay away from the center, because that's got yellow in it. And you can remember that they'll all dry a little bit lighter when they're dry. So if you're thinking it's too dark, just wait till they dry and you'll see. Sometimes it fools you. The only one that's similar dry when it's dry is core. They tend to dry pretty much the shade you put down. Okay. Now there's the buds here are kind of mottled looking. So there's some really dark areas, and then there's also some light areas in the bud part. I'm going to use this orange, put in there. And then we can also darken if it's not dark enough. Just let it dry first though. All right. I'm going to take some of this yellow and I'm just going to dab that in the center. And if it goes into the orange, that's fine. It's a little bit wet and that's okay. A lot of times yellows too will push the paint away from other colors. It's really interesting. Okay, let's do these. This one's fairly dark. So put this color in. A few in here. Just on the tips, some of these have color. They're all different. All right, let's see. And there's quite a bit of yellow in those, so let's put some yellow in. Maybe a little more in here. And if you go outside the lines, I don't mind that. But if that bothers you, try and mop it up. Here's a leak here. Now some colors will not come up. That one, because this is sketchbook paper too, it's very hard to get anything up. I'll try. We can always just color it later with some cream colored. All right, so I'm going to dry this so I can do the green. Oh no, Dot. It's hot again? My goodness. I want to get it as dry as possible. See, it started to go through. But that's okay because it's just my sketchbook. Just play with it. All right. So I do have some green here, and the stems are a little bit more on the, I would say, permanent sap green color. Winsor Newton would be a good one. Oh, let's use my bigger brush for now. Let's get some more. Can mix it in just to take that vibrancy out. If you don't have a green that matches it, if you want to take that brightness out, just add the opposite color of the color wheel. So we have this orange red here. So you want a blue green or so green, red. Let's see, blue green is more red orange. So whatever's opposite will desaturate, make your color grade down, I guess you could say. So if I wanted to add a little bit more of a olive color to this, all I'd have to do is add some of this color to it. Just do bits at a time though. Thanks, Devin. Yes, if you're painting along, I'd love to see it. And you can put hashtag Paint with Kathy Arbor on Instagram. Okay, so using the tip of my brush. Again, I'm not looking for perfect here. I just want to document some of my garden plants. Or just have fun in your sketchbook. Whatever you're doing it for. Some people like to have more written work in their documents of gardening or whatever, but it's always nice to have a picture too. Don't be scared to play with a little bit of color in with your notes. Just looks nice. It doesn't have to be perfect. Save perfect for canvases. Now it is nice to every once in a while try and do a more accurate painting, but you could do those in your sketchbook too, but just be more aware of what you're doing. Take your time is one of the big things. Do not rush a painting if you're going to be doing it for practice of a canvas or whatever. But if it's just for playing in your sketchbook and seeing what you like, I wouldn't worry about it too much. All right, so I do have a little bit, if you look at this, there's a little bit of red in these areas and little tips here, down in here. So you could add a little bit of that. Depends on how accurate you want to be. I like that look, so I'm just going to add a little bit of red in there. Just touch where you've put that green paint. It's still wet, so you're going to see it. It'll bleed in. There might be a little bit of yellow maybe. Just take a look at your, whatever you're drawing. If you're drawing this, there's a little bit of yellow also in the tip here. Now we can also put in a little bit of wash over top of that. All right, let's do some of these. So the leaves are this color. I'm going to take this away to show you this. So they're not all perfect. They have some wear and tear on them. A little bit of, looks like rust almost. Kind of blotched because they've been having a hard time here with the heat and the dryness. We didn't get rain for a good 8 weeks, or any rain to be good enough, that is. Maybe a sprinkle here and there, but we really didn't get a good rain. So there's going to be a bit of damage on the leaves. You can put that in. I'm just going to put that green in that I made up. So a light coat. It's almost the same color as your stem. So I'm looking at that. Might have to mix some more up. So that was that. Alizarin Newton permanent sap green color and a little bit of red to bring that saturation grade down. Water on my brush. It's a little bit darker, but I can work with it. Remember, it's kind of worn out, so if you get some speckling or different color, that's fine. We'll probably put some of that in, actually. You can either use pen or paint. It's whatever you want to venture into. Paper's even kind of marks in it, which is good. It kind of looks more realistic. Now, it's kind of a goldy color. See there? There's even some torn bits from animals or whatever, bugs. So we can take, let's do some raw sienna here. Throw that on here and there. Not all of them have it, but some areas, a little more than others. A little thicker there. Let's put some down in here. You see? And there's, I'm going to make it a little bit darker. Maybe some Daniel Smith Green Apatite Genuine in there. Just going to put a little bit of that on the top part here. So it's a little more on the olivey side, and it's also a little darker. So I'm just going to put where they meet a little bit of that in as shadow. Might have some along the midrib of the leaf. Sometimes it's darker. Let's do that. So I'm just putting it on the one edge. Doesn't have to go everywhere either, like maybe halfway up. Maybe the tip might be a little darker. It just looks more natural if there's not a uniform layer of green as the leaf. Okay. So we got a little bit of shadowing in some of these areas here. So we could take a little bit of the dark green also, so that the green apatite. I'm going to take my smaller brush. This is a number 4. And this green apatite is beautiful for separating. So it's, if you want a little bit of granulation in it, that's a really nice variety to get. It's the Daniel Smith Green Apatite Genuine. It's got a brown, almost a brownish color when it separates. It's really cool. Of course, you do need quite a bit of water when you want separation of the pigments, but it's nice. I'll show you what it does. Here's my palette. See, it's separating. Just have a lot of water in there. So just giving a little bit more detail in here. A little more dark areas. Oh, yeah, that's probably very similar. Have you swatched it? It's always nice to do a swatch. When you're doing a swatch, that is putting a lot of water in one area to see what kind of separation it does. And then you can refer back to it when you're looking for granulating color. There. Okay. What else do we got here? I guess we could put a little bit more in here, make this darker. Maybe darker in there because it's coming up from the leaf. You could also use, if you don't want to use your paint, you could also use colored pencil. Put a little more in here. Just a little darker. Okay. Daniel Smith dot card. Green Apatite Genuine looks a bit darker than the Serpentine. Oh, okay. Well, you could add a little burnt umber to it if you wanted it darker. Okay, let's dry that. Let's see. Did I go through it? Yeah, I started to. You have to be careful when you're using scrapbook paper, how much water you put on, because it will go through your page. All right, now I'm going to make a few adjustments to the flowers. I want them a little bit darker. Bring them back out here. As you can see, they're a little darker. So let's put cad red, I think, a little bit. I have my small brush here, and I'm just going to concentrate on the areas that I want more red. So this one here is definitely redder. The shadow inside is very red. Kind of has striping a little bit where the folds are. So now I have some clean water, and if you want, you could soften those edges a little bit so they bleed into each other a little. And this one here's got some really dark red on the top part here. That's this one. And on the inside of some of these petals, this one's fairly dark. almost down into the throat. And before it dries, just take a wet brush, soften the edge a little. And that one is a little more on the orangey side. Let's see. I don't want it too bright though. But it is a different color. That. This is a little more on the orange. Yellow. I might have to use some gouache for the yellow to brighten it up a bit. But that's fine. Okay, let's do these guys. They are definitely more orange. So a lot of times you can glaze over top of stuff also, and it'll change the color. Let's try a little yellow. There we go. So that changed that bright kind of pinky more into the orange. And then it had a little bit of dark also in it, but not a lot. This one here and this one down here. That's about it. That one is this one. It's more orangey. Just on the ends. That's the back of it in there. A little bit of clean water. Just to soften those edges. Okay. So let's dry that. All right. So I have some gouache here. Let's try it in here. A little bit of gouache. This is Winsor Newton. And I want a small brush. Let's see. So I want to make a little bit of a brighter yellow. So I'm going to take some of this Indian yellow and mix a little bit of it with that gouache. That way we should be able to lighten some of the areas that got too dark. So let's see. When you're doing this, you can't use too many strokes over and over again. And it will dry kind of paler than what you put it on. And it also depends on how much white you're using. Okay, like that. And want some yellow in here. Like that. This one. A little bit on the bottom of the buds too. There's a little bit more on the yellow side going into an orange. So this will actually start to fade into that color. Won't stay the bright yellow color. You have to have a really thick application for it to stay. This one here. Like that. Okay. So a lot of times it's good to have a bit of gouache that you could use for that purpose. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to dry that, and then we're going to do a little bit of colored pencil work. So inside the flowers, I don't know if I can show this. Do you see those little dark marks in there? It's kind of like a U shape. So we can put those in. I'm going to just use colored pencils because that's my thing. I love colored pencils. And I like using them with watercolor and gouache, actually. Let's see. I want a fairly dark, it's almost a burgundy color that this is. Let's see, raspberry maybe. Let's get this paper here. Yeah, that'll do. All right, so they're kind of U shapes, and the U is going into the flower. So the open part of the U is into the flower. It's in the center of each petal. So we can put those in. Might not see all of them. Put in whatever you can see. Okay, this one. You can see this. Oop, wrong way, wrong way. There. that one. Like that. And then I can also use this color for some of the buds. They're really, really deep. And they're kind of layered. So I can see where some of the bud petals are overlapping each other. So let's put some of that dark in there. It could be just on the top like this one. Some of them are a little darker than others. Some are really light, depends. This one here has quite a bit of dark in the underside here. There, it's dark. And this one, we got those in. Let's put a little more in there. A little bit of a rib in the center of the flower. It's darker. I'm going to make this dark because that's the, I'm going to have to figure out how to make that. Maybe white. Let's try it. Let's try to fix a mistake. See? This is where you can learn things to fix mistakes. So let's take some of this white gouache here. And, oh, where is it? Right there. Not thick enough. Need a little bit of water. Like that. And I could actually fix this here. A lot of times it might seep through, but it won't be as dark. So it just helps disguise it a little bit. Okay. Now this one here, it's very dark, but it does have a little bit of light coming in there. So I'm going to use a little bit of yellow on top of this too. So this is fairly dark in here. Like that. And this one, I'm going to make a little darker. Maybe the rib going up the flower petal, make it a little rounder looking because it's kind of curved. Some of the petals are kind of curved. So it would be darker in the center. This one's darker. A little bit down there. This one is darker. Same with this one. This one's quite a bit darker, actually. And then these have to be darker. They're quite dark, actually. There's some right on the tips. We even have some green we could put in. little bit of red in here. Those are the spent ones. It's just the green part. It fell off. There's a little bit of red on the green areas too sometimes. That one. That. Okay, let's get a yellow. Now there's a little bit of a light spot in here. So I'm just going to put that in there. Some of this here. Might need a little bit of white. There. Okay. We'll change some of the color of the stem here and there. Just gives it a better, a different look than the leaves. So it helps it distinguish between the leaf and the stem if you just either lighten it with a yellow or olive green. All right, and sometimes the ends of the leaves might have a little bit of yellow on them because they're getting old. So you can do that. I have to go shortly, loves. Well, thanks for stopping by, and take care of yourself, Dot. Try and stay cool. Hope that breaks for you soon. I know what it's like. Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit of a brown, kind of a rusty brown color. Let's see. Dark terracotta. I want more on the orangey. There's a good one. This one is what color? Terracotta. And I'm just going to use the side of it and brush it a little bit. It's kind of rough looking. Just a little where that part that would be starting to die. On the edge. This is lovely. I don't have inks, but this would be gorgeous with watercolor. This is watercolor. I'm just finishing up. The ink was with the pen lines, but this is all watercolor except what I'm doing right now. So give it a try. Love to see it when you're done. Now I want to do the little stamens. You can see them. And I like using a marker. So like a acrylic marker. I have some of these here. That might work. Oh, I'm glad you're here. Yep, I'm on Thursdays too at 1 o'clock. If you're interested in mixed media or acrylic painting, I also do that. And kind of mixed media watercolor too, actually, because I always love adding ink or pencil crayons, colored pencil, that type of thing. So I see these little stamens. And I'm going to put those in with this. So they have the balls on the ends. They don't have to be too in your face though. They're very small, but you can see them. Like that. So it's very small, but it does add. Here, see? And it's just a sketchbook, so we're just experimenting, having fun. So I want to put a little thing here of my swatches. So last week we used a stencil. Let me put that somewhere here. So I thought we could use another one. So how about one of these? So we used 1, 2, 3. Let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my black marker here. And I am just going to use one of these. Oops. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess we'll put all of these in. And what we don't use will be just decoration. And this way, we get to use our stencils for something other than what they're meant for. I like repurposing things, using what you have. This Thursday, I'm going to be doing making your own stencils out of glue sticks. Right. So we had this one. We use this color. And those markers or the pens I used, they're all waterproof pens. And then I used this. Oh, no, that's the one I just did. And I used this one, which was Alizarin Crimson. So most watercolor brands have Alizarin Crimson. They're very similar in color. And then what else? Oh, the orange. Pyro orange. I love that color. It's so bright. If you want to get practice for painting within the lines, draw out a bunch of these and paint them. It's a great way to practice your line quality. Yeah, it's fun. Love making stencils out of stuff like that. This one is Permanent Sap Green by Winsor Newton. And I'll just mark in between each one of these what it was. Or you could, once it's dried, you could also mark right on top with a black pen if you wanted to. However you want to label things. Green Apatite Genuine was the next one. Lovely color. Lovely separation of pigments. If you like that sort of thing. Some people don't. What else did I have? Oh, the Indian, what was it? Indian Yellow by Core was the next one. That's a really nice color too. I use it a lot. I think that was it for, oh no, one more. The Raw Sienna by Daniel Smith was the last one. And that was all the colors I've used for this painting. All right, awesome. So I don't know, I'll just leave that. I could doodle on that, whatever. If you wanted to put a blue sky, you could do that or just leave it. I may write in between the leaves, possibly. Yeah, there's all different ways. So let's sign it. So today is the 9/8/9/22. All right. And then we can just, once that's dry, I will go back and do all the drawing on it. If you wanted to, you could go back and put more lines on here to make them a little more defined if you like. It's all in what you like. You might maybe crash or hash marks on the bottom here, where it would be darker for shadow. What else? Just play with what you have. Gotta, even a composition book would work. If you're just using it as a sketchbook to figure things out, get something that you're not going to be too precious over. Something that you don't mind if you make a mistake, because that's how we learn, by making mistakes. So many people have labeled mistakes as a bad thing, and it's not. That's how we all learn. And unfortunately, a lot of us we're told you're not allowed to make mistakes. Well, how are you supposed to learn? How do you think scientists and inventors got it right? By making thousands and thousands of fails. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I was out of. All right. There's probably a few more lines you could put in. They are kind of ribbed or very rough. Here, I'll show you again. See, they're kind of rough. We got lots of ribs in them. So you can make them as rough as you want. Like that. All right. So that's the Curcosima, it's called. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you'll give it a try or go out into the yard if you have a garden, or even if you don't have a garden, go to the grocery store or the florist shop and just pick one flower. Have one flower. The freesia is very similar to this. So go and get one and put it in front of you and draw it. Practice it. The more you do it, the more at ease you are with drawing. And that's the one thing I want you guys to do is more drawing. When you get comfortable with drawing, then the sky's the limit. You will draw with whatever. You will draw with paint. You can draw with permanent markers or whatever, because then you have the confidence of your ability to draw. So hope you had a fantastic day so far and enjoy yourself. I will see you Thursday at 1 o'clock, and we'll be doing stencils. Also, I did have a video last Thursday, and it was a premiere. I just thought I'd try it, and this is what we did. So if you haven't seen that, you can check that out. Now, it did end all of a sudden because my camera cut out, but there's no difference from when it ended. So you can check that out for last Thursday. And if you want to know more about the memberships, I will leave a link down below in the description, and feel free to check that out. It's a good time of the month. Beginning of the month is when most people join Patreon, or if you prefer the YouTube, it is up there too, and they start billing whenever you join, whereas Patreon, it's the start of the month is when they bill. All right, so I'll let you guys go and get your sketchbooks out and be creative and enjoy the journey. Right, see you later, guys. Bye for now.